Adam, thank you for getting us together, man.
No problem. No.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me. I mean, it's a really interesting, your guitars. I've been reading a lot about it and what Charles has told me. So, yeah, they look great. Actually, before we start, I need to just share one little photo so you guys can tell me about this one here. You can see
Nice.
This is that's when Charles picked up the Beach Fade, which is the one I'm holding
Yep.
on the right. That's his latest one, and the one on the left is the very first official JHale Guitars, which he was also the proud owner of.
Oh, so you got two.
That is the no, I have three actually.
Oh, wow.
So I have a bass. I'll get it in a second. The bass on the wall, that's a JHale bass.
Yep.
But
Yeah, it's the only JHale bass so far.
Okay.
yeah, the original JHale evil cousin.
Yes.
Because he had the original evil twin, so I had the evil cousin.
Right. Yeah, basically he's like, I want one like that, but can you make it with two humbuckers? I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah. There you have it. It's actually been getting a tune up here this week.
Yeah.
He dropped it off. We updated it to the 2022 spec with the Q jack. And since Charles doesn't like coil splits, we put a Burns low friction 500K pod in it. So it's firing on all cylinders now. Oh yeah, the handy dandy push in Floyd Rose bar, which is so convenient. I hated the screw on ones. I never used those like ever.
Which this one has too.
Yep, they all do now.
I love it.
That's really
It's
cool.
all standard equipment these days,
Yeah.
just for the convenience factor and the actual fact that unlike the screw-in ones, they actually work.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's
That was like my main gripe about the screw-in types. Like there's a delay before it engages when you touch it, so you're never really sure what you're doing.
Yep.
If you're trying to do something specific with the bar or whatever, like a Brad Gillis trick or something like that, made it really difficult. Not that everybody's doing that all the time, but if you want that option, if you're going to do it, you don't want it fighting you. So I'm glad somebody came out with something that actually works finally.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully, all the 80s rock is slowly coming back in, so people will
start. Yeah, so you want the equipment to function properly, right? But don't even want to carry a wrench everywhere to take your bar off,
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Like, have you seen my wrench? Your what? Wrench? No, not that one. It's bad enough to get to carry the little two around anyway, but having a third one was just too much to be asked to keep track of on a gig. Too many small parts,
Yeah. Charlie, when did you get your first guitar from Jay?
What was it, Jay? 2015,
I think.
15 or 16, yeah. Jay had posted pictures of his build, and we've known each other forever, so I was like, that's pretty cool, man. He started the whole page about how I want to start, making guitars and making this a real thing, and I was like, that's a really cool guitar, man. I want one of those. So I was living in Northern California. I flew down to LA to pick it up.
I remember that day.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But yeah, we like I do with anybody else, we spec'd it out. What pickups do you want? Is the Floyd going to be recessed, not recessed? What kind of frets do you want? What string gauge is going to have with it? The whole deal,
Yep.
You spec it out from start to finish, basically.
Yeah. Oh wow. So did you say you started about that time? Was it about 2015?
Yeah, I've been building guitars since like I said, Charlie and I've known each other since we were kids or whatever. But we grew up in a town with two music stores that had really, really crappy selection, and everybody with a Van Halen guitar, and you couldn't find one. So I'm like, I'm going to build one. I'm going to build my own. So around 85 or 86, when you could still mail order Charvel parts, I started mail ordering necks and bodies and putting stuff together, and I've been doing that ever since. And I finally, around 2010, I decided to redo one of my original projects that didn't turn out how I would have wanted it to originally. It was the Bomber guitar, which I'll pull out here in a second. And people started saying, you should start building those for other people. I'm like, yeah, nobody's gonna buy my guitars. What are we talking about? Or whatever. And then people kept pushing, kept saying it. So around 2015, I was like, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna make some prototypes, and I'm gonna see if people are interested. And slowly but surely they have been.
That's great.
So it's fun. I still think they're, not to toot my own horn, but like they're head and shoulders above anything I go in a store and pick up or whatever,
Yeah.
And I want that people to have that experience. It's like, I wanted a guitar like this, and that's what I got. Hopefully Charles can attest to that,
Oh yeah.
This the beach fade. We talked about the beach fade, and that's what he got,
Yeah,
So
this was Adam, this was from start to finish. I would say head to toe, everything. I mean, I sat there on the phone with Jay. I was like, Jay, I want a maple. He put a maple top on it. He put a 4A flame maple top. I said I wanted to look like a kind of a beach, wave or whatever. And it started from there. We were just actually just talking, and next thing I know, Jay made it happen. It was like, hey, he went to the store. He went to one of the hardware stores and bought some maple planks and started doing some dye, which I think, Jay, you have some of those planks with you. But
I do actually. Here's the original.
Start doing some. Yeah,
here's
when
the
you
original
did
for one of the prototypes for another.
Okay.
Actually,
I
here's
was like,
the original.
I want that.
Yeah, he was like,
that's
I
it.
kind of want like a graduated thing, like kind of like you're walking up on the beach or whatever. And I'm like, I love playing with Angelus leather dyes and Crimson Guitars, Stunning Stains and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, what if we did something like that?
Yeah.
And he was
that
like,
turned
yes.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And we originally talked about doing it on just like a regular alder body or whatever. But I'm like, if you're gonna do something like this, you want the beach part of it to pop. You don't want it just to be bland looking. So let's make that flame maple or quilted maple, and we ended up using flame. Then my fabricator had, I've got some 4A. I'm like, yes, do that. So and there it was, So but I want to try burl and spalted later as well. Just keep things interesting. I think the next one's going to be metallic, just to mix things up. I haven't done a sparkle or anything yet.
Oh yeah.
So
how long would it take you from like to say start to finish?
Probably, I want to say 3 months, but given current supply chain issues, could maybe take a little longer.
Yeah.
Just because everything, especially if it's a part that has to come from say Germany or something, it's going to take a minute. But how long would you say this took? So Charles,
this is like 3.5, 4 months, but
yeah, it's probably right around there.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing was the titanium inserts. So Jay has a really good relationship with Adam from FE Tone, and these titanium inserts, the color, I think that took a little bit of time, but other than that, it was about 3.5, 4 months.
Yeah, I remember we had my fabricator was like out of commission for 2 weeks at one point too, so that added a little delay. He was injured. So, but we still got it done around 4 months.
Yeah.
So if somebody's willing to wait, they generally get what they want.
Well worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah. I have a couple of repeat customers. Charles has got 3 now, and there's another guy in Texas that has 4 going on 5. So, my customers that have got them like them enough to get more. So that's always a good sign, I think, right?
Yeah. So Charles needs another 2 more.
I do.
I'm gonna work him for that. Don't worry. But like, what are we doing next? What are we doing next?
You know what the cool thing is, Adam, is that Jay, I had this vision for this guitar, right? And like every day, Jay was sending me a text message saying, "Hey, what do you think about this knob? Or what do you think about that knob? Or what do you think about this switch or that switch?" And so it was. This is a total build of my absolute dream. And I mean, it absolutely positively came true. And when you say you can build to your specs, this is exactly everything that I asked for and everything that I had ever envisioned in this guitar. So I mean, it was a perfect build. I mean, you don't get people to say, hey, what type of pot do you want, or what type of knob do you want, or we actually on the toggle switch, we at one point in time we're like, we'll just do the black, and Jay's like, no, it's not going to look right, so let's go, what do you think about this? And
It would have
that's
been invisible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I said it would have been invisible on the
It
face of
would
the
have been
guitar.
invisible on this. Yeah. So
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It would have been
So,
like,
yeah.
so. The black nickel hardware was a interesting choice. Never done anything with that before either.
Yeah, but I think the thing that sets it off are the Goto, whoever you talk to, but the pearloid knobs are just, I mean, they're beautiful. It's absolutely stunning.
I like those. I put those on the Newman Kazi too. They just look really classy, I think. And I did a Telly build for the guy that's got 4 of them that has those as well. They just look super classy, you know, no matter what you put them on, really. And it doesn't matter if the headstock's painted or not. They just look expensive, for lack of a better word. You're just like, ooh, what's that? You just, when you see something like that, you're like, ooh, one of those, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing I like the most about this, Adam, and I'll let you do it, is that this die job, Jay did himself. You know, that was him sitting at his dining room table, you know, doing this in his pseudo shop, and that actually probably means more to me than anything on the guitar, because Jay took this is his personal touch, and he did this based off what I wanted, right? And I think that makes this super special, you know, and the fact that you know, I couldn't love this thing anymore. We've known each other forever, but that's what makes this guitar super special, is that he put his own personal touch into it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I hope you get where I'm going with it.
I know what you mean, for sure, definitely.
Well, I mean, you know, any other guitar you're going to get from a major big box builder is going to be just cookie cutter. It's been stamped out. Everyone's exactly the same. Yeah. You know, you can't go, hey, can you put slightly bigger fret wire on that? I mean, you can. It'll take like 3 years from the custom shop and cost an extra, you know, $3,000 or whatever. Yeah. But you know, you can't just like text somebody and be like, hey, can we put a you know, an Alnico 2 in the JB in the bridge? Okay, you know, just little things like that, you know, with little tweaks that you can do, like, so it's like a custom shop without the years-long wait and exorbitant pricing. So
yeah, that's right.
So Adam, the guitar he picked up was my first Jay Hale. That's the guitar I used to record the rhythm for the FTR project for Warrior Soul.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
So you can hear it.
So it's got, you've heard that song, so you know it's got a lot of bottom line to it. So it's I mean, it really comes through crisp on the recording. So
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, we can go over the specs of that. Another thing that every one of my guitars has, besides all the FU tone hardware upgrades, I direct mount the pickups with the PMS pickup mounting system.
Yeah.
So they're all height adjustable, brass mounted, you know, so there's a bell brass mounting plate under the pickup, just adding to the overall oomph factor. You know, I mean, I always thought direct mounted pickups sounded better. I've grown to detest mounting rings. Like, I don't even want to do them on guitars. But the PMS system just takes it up to like a whole new level as far as, you know, everybody else I've seen direct mount pickups, they'll stuff foam under it to get it up to the height it needs to be, which is kind of defeating the purpose of direct mounting, isn't it? If you're stuffing a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff that's going to, muddle the sound or not, transfer it at all underneath the pickup. You're kind of defeating the purpose of the direct mounting by impeding its resonance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas this is a piece of brass that's, also contacting the floor of the pickup cavity.
Yep.
So it's just resonance machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time when I'm playing around LA or whatever, like invariably somebody will come up to me and be like, "What pickup is in that thing, man?" And it's like, usually it's the JB or whatever, but like, that doesn't sound, that's a JB, really? It's like, because it's just got a little something extra that they can't put their finger on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of the direct mounting, it's getting like so much more transference. So another little hallmark there,
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, and I think we noticed a difference with we started using are you familiar with the Q jacks?
No.
That's my Analysis Plus Pro audio.
Okay.
And it's like the first redesign of the output jack in like 60 years. Okay. So instead of like the normal 2 contact points, it's got 6. Right. And every pickup, every guitar I put it in, which is like, well, only 3 so far, but they all suddenly seem louder. It's like, you hit the loudness switch on a stereo or something. It's like, whoa, that's what my guitar sounds like. Wow. So yeah, that's going to become a standard thing too.
I was going to say, Jay and I went to their booth at NAMM and blown away. I mean, that jack is amazing.
So Charles, have you got on your one was it the switch to go to the drop D? Is it your?
Yes, I got the D tuner.
D tuner, that's the word I was looking for.
Yes, yes. This
is blue.
In the matching blue. Yeah, this is the.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, that is the D tuner that is amazing. This is actually, to be honest with you, this is my first one, Adam. That I've never. I was telling everybody up until yesterday that this is my first one. But the bass that Jay built for me has the D tuner on the tuner, so on the headstock. Yeah. So I was like, wait a second, no, that's not correct. This is the second D tuner that I have, but this is the first one I've had on my guitar, and I absolutely love it. Yeah. It's amazing. This is the first one I've ever seen that's in a color like this. It's in the blue. I mean, it's simply stunning.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're making them in blue and red, and I'm not sure if they're doing green or purple yet, but I know they're starting to do more colors. So cool, yeah. Mixed up. That's one of the things I try to do. It's an option on my guitars or whatever. You don't have to have it. Yeah. But if you do get one, the recess accommodates it as well under the bridge, so you still get the super low action. If you're into that sort of thing, and each one has a trim stopper in it, which you can engage or disengage. And if you disengage it, then you have the fully floating, pull it up sky high. Just don't mess with the detuner, pick a tuning and stick with it. Or you can lock it down and the detuner is fully functional. So everyone has that option, either or, Yep. I may experiment with the tremolo though, because as I understand it, you can float and use the detuner. So I want to try that, but I have not as of yet.
Okay. Adam, have you seen the Floyd with the pop out arm?
I don't think so, because I was just thinking, because my one doesn't have it. It's got the screw.
Yeah, this is the first one. I think what is it, Jay? The 1500 is what it's called.
Yeah, well, that's the German series. Yeah, but that's the bars, and it's also made by Floyd. But it's like if you order one today, it's still going to come with the thumb screw one, which I can't stand. Yeah. But you can order these from Floyd.
Okay. This
is amazing, actually, because I was surprised that it actually stays in place and it still kind of has that feel like when you tighten it down, it still has that. I can still Twitter and do all the things with it without it moving. So it's because I had the Ibanez Low Pro Edge that Jay changed out to a Floyd for me, but it didn't stay in place like this. So this is actually really cool. I'm really liking it a lot. Probably gonna change all my fluids out to this.
Bring them over.
Right.
Yeah, I ended up doing them on all of mine.
Yeah.
You know, all my personal guitars too, because again, they're just too convenient and they feel too good. They feel like old school bars, you know.
Yeah.
There's a screw adjustment for the tension or whatever, so you can get it just as loose or as tight as you want without having to crank anything. So very convenient.
Adam just got the Van Halen yellow stripe guitar.
Yeah, the Bumblebee. But in my
Bumblebee.
I got the front pickups as well, and
Nice.
I just used it last night, so it's in the car. But
Nice. That design is the guitar that actually made me want to play guitar.
Oh, really?
That was like the first picture. My sister, I guess Women and Children first had just come out, so I guess it's like 1980, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. And my, and the Cradle Will Rock. Or my sister's like, that's like the worst song they've ever done. You got to hear the rest of their stuff or whatever. And she like sits me down and turns me on the Van Halen basically. And the first picture she flopped down in front of me is a picture of Eddie with the Bumblebee. I'm just like, oh my God, what is that guitar? It has stripes. Nobody else's guitar has stripes. I need a guitar with stripes. Oh my God, that's amazing. I was like, I was just obsessed from that moment on, you know?
Yeah.
So it's amazing I don't have a Bumblebee because I certainly still want one, you know, but someday.
Yeah. So I noticed you on your site you got the few other shapes as well. Like you had the was it the Star Killer?
Yeah, that's just trying to do something a little, different besides just a Strat or a Telly, shape or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'm going to get into like any other Gibson-esque shapes because I'm not really interested in dealing with companies that are litigious or anything. Already had a ESP did not get the joke about the Newman Kazi at all. So
you got to show them what you're talking about.
Yeah, there. What's that?
You got to show them what you're talking about. Yeah, ESP was not happy about this one.
Oh, really?
A friend of mine and I were sitting around joking one night about, this is before I started the line or whatever, about the guy's like, yeah, you ever tried one of those kamikazes? They're really close to your guitars because a lot of my guitars have single coil and a humbucker. I'm like, yeah, those are cool, but I'd have to change so much about it. It's like I'd just be better off building one of my own. But I'd never like build an exact copy of somebody's guitar or whatever. That's why I don't have a Bumblebee probably or whatever, right? I'm like, yeah, but it would be funny to do a parody of it. You know what I mean? And I was hugely into Mad Magazine when I was a little kid, right? And the way they would just do really subtle rip-offs on things, not rip-off, but just take the piss out of something, just totally caricature something. But it was, sometimes it was like, honoring it, but still jokingly, you know what I mean? So I kind of came up with that concept for that guitar or whatever. I'm like, well, what if I made one of my own, but like made like a Mad Magazine version of it?
Yeah.
So, and my buddy that I was talking to at the time happens to be really good with Photoshop. And he's like, send me a picture of Alfred E. Newman. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I found a front facial shot of Alfred E. Newman. And by this point, he had already found the kamikaze guy. And he sends me this. And he's like, you have to do it. I'm like, I have to do it. So I went with a color scheme they don't do, so it's not like a direct, rip off. It was supposed to be a homage, and the electronics are completely different, but it's got a push pull and it's got a kill switch, and a pickup selector instead of the push pull pickup selector, like the other one. So I don't like that either, but and because it's a silly parody and didn't want it to say Mad on the headstock, it says Jay. And I have it on pretty good authority that George Lynch has seen it and gets the joke from someone who plays in one of his bands. So I'm going to take that as pretty good pretty good indicator that he actually does think it's funny. But ESP did not get the joke. They were not happy about it. sorry they didn't get it, but everybody else thinks it's really funny, including Mad Magazine. I can't promise I'm not going to make myself another one someday, because it'd be nice to have a matching set with maple neck.
Yeah.
Why not? They can't tell me I can't make one for myself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, that was a funny attention getter, and I still can't break that out at a club without somebody's like, "What is that?" Or if I turn on that's an Iron Age kill switch on it, by the way, but whatever. And if I turn that on, like, somebody will come from across the room, like, "What the hell is that?" So, switch,
it brings attention to your builds and the quality.
Well,
of builds.
Yeah.
So Jay, tell him everything that's in this.
That is, as we mentioned, it's a quadruple A flame maple top with an alder body, with 2 PMS mounted Seymour Duncan pickups. There's a JB in the bridge and the pearly gates in the neck.
Love the pearly gates.
Yeah, you're all doing your Vanna there. That's great. It's got that's an original Floyd Rose in black nickel that's augmented with FU tone hardware. It's got blue titanium inserts, and string locks, and also on the headstock as well. The nut lock inserts or nut lock screws are blue. It's got it's medium tension noiseless springs in the back, a trim setter. There's a 37 millimeter brass block in it. The 500K Burns low friction pot, same thing as a YJM or an EVH, low friction, and the Q jack.
And Jay lines all of his pockets with copper tape.
Yep, totally shielded, totally quiet.
It's all shielded, yes.
This is kind of the one that started it all, basically. And this is one of the original Charvel necks I bought when I was 17 or whatever. Repurposed, but decided to redo the. This is very similar to the original paint job it had, and of course it's got all the FU tone stuff on it. This actually has a perpetual burn in the bridge instead of a JB, which is very, very cool. And this has the distinction of being one of the 2 guitars I have that have FU tone titanium blocks in them, which are amazing in the right guitar. Just they're super expensive, but they're kind of worth it. It's just something about the lead tonality or something of it. It's just like liquid sounding. It's hard to describe, but once you put one in the guitar, you're like, oh, I have that in this and my Koa Strat, which is in the other room I won't get, but that's what the Evil Twin was based on. That begat the Evil Cousin. It's a one-piece Koa body, but this was the full-on prototype. This was just, can we put everything on it and make it something that other people would want to? I mean, didn't really get around to putting a fancy finish on this one either. This was just aqua coat. But this, I actually, funny story, they always talk about old wood and how vintage guitars sound better. Well, this body was actually originally going to be the body that I used for the Bomber, but I opened the box, and I don't know if the grain is coming through on the camera here, but that it was just too cool to cover up. So I'm like, I'm gonna get another body for the Bomber. So turned around, bought another body that wasn't quite as pretty. That ended up being the Bomber. And then, I wasn't playing in a band about this is like 2010. So I wasn't playing in a band or anything at the time. I wasn't considering building yet. So that body sat on a shelf for 5 years. And then when I decided to start prototyping or whatever, I was like, well, let's use this one first or whatever. And I swear this is one of the best sounding guitars I own.
Yeah.
Just, and I think it's because it aged, you know, it rings like crazy, you know, because it's already, the adage is it takes a guitar 5 years to figure out it's not a tree anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and this already had its 5-year think about it period.
Yeah.
You know, so it's only the neck that has to figure out it's not a tree anymore, you know, or whatever. But it sounds ridiculous. So yeah, but Charles saw that one and was like, I want one with 2 humbuckers, and then there was that one, and it's kind of just snowballed from there.
Yeah,
in a good way.
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Adam, I will tell you, this is the best. I don't think I've actually put this thing down since I brought it home. Actually,
Really?
I had to go to work. And I was crying the whole time, but this is probably the best sounding, and I'll send you a video. This is the best sounding guitar, I think. This JB in this with the maple top and the oval body, I mean, it sounds amazing. I mean, it's actually probably one of the best sounding guitars I've had.
That's awesome. Yeah, really.
Yes.
Well, I was telling Charles that the thing about, and this I know from, working for Seymour Duncan for a little while. I actually wrote a piece on the JB and I was doing research on it. And the thing about the JB is like, that's the pickup you're used to hearing. Like especially if you're like an 80s rock kid or something, it's the pickup that Jakey Lee was using, that Steve Stevens was using, that the guys in Skid Row were using, that who else? If I sit there and think about it for a minute, I'll think of 10 more people that used it back in the day or whatever. But that's pretty much the pickup like everybody was using. So that's what you're subconsciously used to hearing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Marshall or something.
Adam is a product of the 80s, and him and Phoenix, their sound. When I told Phoenix I was putting a JB in this guitar, Phoenix Vanderweeding, she was like, oh, everybody in the 80s used that pickup. It's so awesome. I'm like, yeah,
they're great. They don't like certain woods, but in most guitars, it's just like, oh wow, just wallop, But again, it's once you put it in the guitar, it's kind of what you're expecting to hear, So you're just like, oh yeah, oh okay, yeah, It just feels right too.
Oh, one day I'll get back over there and try them out in person.
Definitely,
Yeah.
we'll make that happen if you're ever in the States.
Yeah,
for sure.
But thank
Great.
you guys once again for doing this. And like I said,
No, thank you, Adam. It's an honor to do this with you. I very much appreciate it. You're
Yeah,
you're
it
an
really
amazing
is.
dude.
no problem.
Thank
at
you
all.
so much for having us and introducing your audience to my guitars, and
Yeah.
check out JHaleGuitars.com.
Yep.
And hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. All right, thanks.
Thank
guys.
you much.
All right, see you then.
All right, buddy.
Take care.
Thank you. Thanks, Adam.